Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the inauguration of Allan Gilmour, 11th President of Wayne State University. I am Ronald Brown, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, and it is my distinct honor to preside at this academic celebration. Please remain seated for the academic procession. Ladies and gentlemen, the delegates of learned societies, universities, and colleges. Now, please welcome representatives of the faculty of Wayne State University. Ladies and gentlemen, the presidential party. Please rise and join Emery Stevens as ladies and gentlemen, the presidential party.
say.
Please rise and join Emery Stevens, Assistant Professor of Music, in the singing of our national anthem.
Early light, what so proudly we hail, at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the rampart we watched, were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce the chair of the Wayne State University Board of Governors, Tina Abbott.
That was kind of quick. Good afternoon. As chair of the Board of Governors, I am delighted to welcome you on behalf of the Board of Governors, faculty, students, and the entire Wayne State University community to the inauguration of Allan Gilmour, 11th President of Wayne State University. Joining me from the Board of Governors are Governor Debbie Dingell, Vice Chair, Governor Eugene Dreiker, Governor Diane Danaskis, Governor Danielle Carmonas, Governor Paul Massaran, Governor Annetta Miller, and Governor Gary Pollard. Here representing our board members emeriti, Governor Emeritus Vernice Davis Anthony, Michael Enhauser, Paul Hildegans, Denise Lewis, Jackie Washington, and Ed Scribner. We are also honored to have with us today two former presidents of Wayne State University. As I call your name, please stand. Irvin D. Reed. and J. Noreen. President David Adamany is unable to be with us today due to illness. Please give him an applause. Thank you.
We are deeply grateful to the delegates of the learned societies, colleges, and universities who are celebrating with us today, including several presidents. Stephanie W. Bergeron, Walsh College. Daniel Little, University of Michigan, Dearborn. Gail Mee, Henry Ford Community College. Richard Rogers, College for Creative Studies. Honored guests joining us on the platform this afternoon include Carl Levin, United States Senator. Ruth Johnson, Secretary of State. Representing Governor Rick Snyder. David Bing, Mayor of Detroit. Charles Pugh, President of the Detroit City Council. Robert Ficano, Wayne County Executive. Tom Chosk, representing Hanson Clark, United States House of Representatives. Seymour Wolfson, President of the Academic Senate. Boris Mordikovich, President of the Wayne State University Academy of Sciences. Amanda Carnegie, President of the Student Senate. Edward Ewell, Jr., Alumni Association Board of Directors. Arthur Maratti, President of English Emeritus. Also seated on stage are members of the President's Cabinet and deans of the schools and colleges whose name you will find listed in the program. Ladies and gentlemen, salutations will now be presented to President Gilmour. The Honorable Carl Levin, United States Senate.
Thank you very much, Provost Brown. I was hoping when you were introducing the representatives of the learned societies that I was going to be on that list, but that the U.S. Senate obviously does not quite get to that point these days. So. Allan Gilmour, congratulations. President Gilmour, it's a real treat to be able to address you that way. I've known Allan Gilmour for a long time. I've worked with him when he was at Ford. I've already started working with him as president of Wayne State University because he truly hit the ground running here. It's kind of funny that we ask people to assume office and then we give them a big fancy ceremony. Now, there's a good reason for that. In this case, it's partly because of the work that Allan has already done is so important, and the work that he will do is so important that it just simply could not wait for the ceremony. One of the members of the Board of Governors, my old friend Eugene Dreiker, tells me that Allan is having so much fun that they're actually thinking of charging him tuition. We're trying to keep tuition down, and we figured that if that were a possibility, that would be a really good incentive, Allan, to accomplish that. Allan Gilmour's business background gives him a unique insight into one of the most important aspects of higher education in Michigan, which is the connection between strong universities and our prosperity. If we're going to return to the goal of improving the standard of living for the American middle class and give them the tools that they need to compete in a global economy, it will be because our colleges and our universities are playing a leading role, and that we are giving our institutions of higher education the resources and the public support that they need to accomplish their mission. And just as important, universities such as Wayne State play a vital role in helping those in poverty find their way into the middle class. And this has always been a central aspect of Wayne State's mission, and I know that Allan Gilmour has a commitment that he feels very strongly about in the same direction. If we're going to take full advantage of the extraordinary diversity and richness that life has to offer, if we're going to protect our precious planet while enjoying its awe-inspiring wonders, it will be because our institutions of higher learning open opportunities for us and open our minds. I know that Allan Gilmour is up to the job of leading this great institution in that quest. Wayne State University is truly in great hands when they are Allan Gilmour's. Thank you for inviting me to join in this celebration, and congratulations to President Gilmour.
On behalf of the state of Michigan, the Honorable Ruth Johnson, Secretary of State.
Thank you, Provost Brown, and good afternoon. On behalf of the state of Michigan, as Michigan's new Secretary of State and an alumnus of Wayne State University, it is an honor to be here today to be part of President Gilmour's inauguration ceremony. As the daughter of an auto worker and a homemaker from Waterford Township, I had a thirst for knowledge. Wayne State very much broadened my world and my thinking. I graduated in 1985 with a master's degree in clinical social work with some of the most important lessons in problem solving, commitment, and determination to make the world a better place. Among the nation's 30 largest public universities, Wayne State University is simply a jewel here in Michigan. It's a diverse urban institution of higher learning that has been recognized nationally for innovation and research. Students here hail from all 50 states and more than 70 countries. As president, Allan Gilmour brings his leadership, determination, business experience, and commitment to excellence to Wayne State University. He once said of higher education that is, quote, an endeavor of optimism. It's an endeavor of dreams. And he said this, campus community is to, quote, dream big. If you don't dream big, you won't get there. President Gilmour, on behalf of the great state of Michigan, I wish you every success in your endeavors in continuing to build and expand Wayne State University. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the City of Detroit, the Honorable Dave Bing, Mayor.
Good afternoon, and thank you so very much for this opportunity. Allan Gilmour and I have known each other for several years, going back to the Ford Motor Company and being involved in a lot of different boards, committees, commissions here in the city of Detroit. I am not a Wayne State graduate, unfortunately, but my connection is very good because my wife is. Allan and I have a very unique relationship in that neither one of us know how to retire. Allan, with a very storied career at the Ford Motor Company, and one, if you get to know him, you not only get to love and appreciate him, not only for his intellect, but for his wit. He has unique leadership skills that I think will make a major difference here at Wayne State University. The things that I think we are starting to see in this city in terms of the renovation and the comeback, I've just been in a 3-day tour with mayors from all over the country, and there are a lot of positive things that are happening here in the city of Detroit, but none more so than what's happening in this corridor of Midtown. And Wayne State will play a very critical and instrumental role in helping us bring this city back. And with Allan's leadership and the support that he will get not only from a local standpoint, but nationally and hopefully internationally, will bring Wayne State and the city of Detroit in the consciousness of everyone. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here, and I want to thank Allan and wish him every luck in the world. Thank you.
On behalf of the Detroit City Council, the Honorable Charles Pugh, President of the Council.
Mr. President, I just wanted to say that universities play such an important role in the community. As someone who was born and raised not only in Detroit, but in this neighborhood, I spent so much time on this campus dreaming about one day being a college student. And more than Wayne State being a place for me to dream, it also is a place I studied. Now, I didn't go to college here. However, the Detroit Public Schools had an advanced studies program on Saturdays where high school students came to this university to study. And we were taught by university faculty member here and those from U of D. And my favorite class, all the way from preschool through my bachelor's degree, was my oral communications class that I took here at Wayne State on Saturdays. So universities play such an important role in the community. But also, I was fortunate enough to travel with the Regional Chamber of Commerce to Pittsburgh. That is a community that has faced head-on similar challenges that we're going through now as a city. But one of the ways they solved them, Mr. President, was the role of Pitt and Carnegie Mellon in the rebirth of Pittsburgh. So I know that with the innovative things that Wayne State is doing, as the mayor just mentioned here, specifically in Midtown, but certainly citywide, we need you. We need Wayne State's leadership, and we need your leadership. So I just wanted to say, from one Mr. President to another, congratulations to you, and my colleague James Tate is here, if he can join me on the stage. Coming up, Mr. Tate, we have something special for you from all of our colleagues on the Detroit City Council. Come on up. That way. You don't want to come up? Come on up. I've put you on the spot. Come on up. So on behalf of, oh, you didn't bring it with you. Oh, that's why you don't want to come up. I saw the thing in your hand. I'm like, oh, it's green. How are you, sir? Councilman James Tate. Give him a round of applause. Oh, that's funny. At any rate, we do have it. And we will present it to you. We're so proud of you, and Wayne State proves that it's full of smart people because they were smart enough to choose you as their leader. Congratulations.
On behalf of the County of Wayne, the Honorable Robert Ficano, Wayne County Executive.
Good afternoon, everyone. A little more enthusiasm. Good afternoon, everyone. This is not a funeral. I don't know what you think you're perhaps getting into. You know, Charles, I didn't realize that the budget cuts were so bad you didn't have the proclamation that was set up, but that's okay. Seriously, President Gilmour, congratulations on behalf of the nearly 2 million people of Wayne County. We're very, very excited about this, and really Wayne State is truly fortunate to have such a great leader. In fact, when you think about education, if I probably were to ask everybody in the crowd here, do you think you're better off than your parents were? And probably a good 85 to 90% of you probably could raise your hand in honesty and say, yes, I am. The real question is, are your children going to be better off than you? And I think all of us know that you get to that point primarily through education. I know that was true with my family. I'm very fortunate. I'm the firstborn generation in this country and the first to actually be able to attend college and law school. But the key to succession from one generation to another is education, and that's why it's such an important role that you hold here, especially in an urban area such as Detroit. Now, I do know the quality of education here at Wayne State. Number one, my daughter has received her master's degree here. She's currently working on her PhD here. So if we can make sure the tuition is down until she at least graduates, I would appreciate that. But even more importantly, I did not graduate from the law school here, but I did take my bar review course here, and I got through it. So any university that could make sure that I could pass the bar in my first attempt is always going to be number one in my book. The mission of Wayne State, and I do this all the time. I've been on trade missions throughout the world as a number of people here. One of the real selling points that I give to other companies that we're trying to locate here is the university system, and in particular, Wayne State. The assets that you have here that we can sell to the rest of the world is unique. Being here in an urban setting and really the talent pool that you have is enormous. And we use that day in and day out in what we do to sell the community, Wayne County, southeastern Michigan. So you are a strength that we rely on. And as I said, Wayne State is very fortunate to have you as their new president. Congratulations.
On behalf of the Wayne State University faculty, Professor Seymour Wolfson, President of the Academic Senate.
Mr. President, my fellow faculty, deans, vice presidents, and distinguished guests, I'm especially honored that as President of the Academic Senate, representing the faculty and academic staff of the university, I was asked to serve on the Presidential Search Committee that helped select Allan Gilmour as the 11th president of Wayne State University. And I am honored to be asked to bring you a welcome message from the faculty and academic staff. I was privileged to offer welcome messages for 2 previous presidents, and I'm just as pleased to do this again for President Gilmour, for whom I have great respect. I have been impressed, I've been impressed with President Gilmour since I first met him when he was selected as the interim president. What is special about President Gilmour is that he is a very fast learner and implementer. His background is not from the academic world, but once he accepted the position at Wayne State, he clearly mastered the understanding of higher education and its workings. He's a man who recognizes the value of faculty and academic staff, is supportive of their initiatives, respects and values them and others around him. He involves the faculty and academic staff through the Academic Senate in true shared governance and in the building of a better institution. But what I appreciate the most is that he is willing to recognize that not all is perfect at Wayne State. When he's told about some problem, rather than becoming defensive, he's quick to want to learn more about the problem and actually get it fixed. He probably learned this from his many years at Ford, where you'd not want your cars to be driving around with rattling noises in the wheel housings. That would not help sell a lot of cars. Similarly, he recognizes that if systems at Wayne State are not working right, students will not want to come here. Clearly, his business background has turned out to be a special gift for us. A former president of Brown University, Henry Wriston, once described the challenges faced by every university president. So I thought it might be well for us to see how well President Gilmour measures up. So here's the checklist. Wriston said, a university president expected, 1, at some time to have been scholarly and respect scholarship. Check, just look at his resume. 2, to have some special financial judgment. Check, check, check. He's done marvels for Ford as CFO. 3, to know something about construction, maintenance, and labor policy. Check, check. 4, to speak virtually continuously in words that charm and never offend. Check, check, check. 5, to take bold positions with which no one will disagree and to consult everyone and follow all proffered advice. Well, we have to wait and see, but so far so good. And 6, he has to do everything through committees, but with great speed and without error. Well, the Academic Senate is doing its best to work on this one. And 7, he's expected to raise money unceasingly without ever seeming to ask. Well, let us hope he comes through for us on this one. So far, in the short time he's been here, he's done exceptionally well on this checklist. What do you think? We are fortunate that our university has attracted a man who has vision, wisdom, understanding, and financial acumen, the attributes needed to solve the problems that face the university and can lead us to preeminence as a financially sound, educational, and research institution. On behalf of the faculty and academic staff, I welcome Allan Gilmour, our 11th president, a man who possesses the wisdom, enthusiasm, and conquering spirit to enhance, enrich, and strengthen Wayne State University as we move through the 21st century. As you succeed and prosper, we all will share in your accomplishments. We wish you the best of luck, Mr. Gilmour.
On behalf of the student body, Amanda Carnegie, President of the Student Senate.
I think I might need a stool. Welcome, faculty and staff, my fellow students, members of the Board of Governors, members of the Cabinet, distinguished guests, and of course, President Gilmour. It is my honor to stand before all of you this afternoon, representing the student body. On behalf of the students, I welcome all to this momentous occasion and congratulate President Gilmour on his inauguration as the 11th president of Wayne State University. We are thrilled and grateful that President Gilmour has accepted the role and the challenges that come along with the leadership in higher education. We thank President Gilmour for his commitment to students and to our university. We respect his tireless advocacy for students. President Gilmour is attentive and involved with our university. He goes out of his way to reach out to the community. He listens and he acts. We thank President Gilmour for being a role model and a leader. As a business student, I can say personally that President Gilmour is someone that I admire. I've had the great fortune to interact with President Gilmour on several occasions since he's been on campus. I've learned that he's a charismatic individual and he brings with him an abundance of positive energy every time he walks in a room. I've also learned that he is experienced with knowledge and intelligent that goes unmatched. Most importantly, I've learned that he has a vision, and this vision will make Wayne State aim higher. Wayne State University needs these qualities in a leader, and we found them in President Gilmour. I am confident that President Gilmour will bring Wayne State University to a higher level of education and prestige. President Gilmour, it has been a pleasure working with you, and the students look forward to continue working with you to promote the success at Wayne State University. We, the students, express our sincerest gratitude, wish you the greatest of luck, and congratulate you on your inauguration as Wayne State's 11th president.
On behalf of the alumni, the Honorable Edward Ewell, Alumni Association Board of Directors.
Good afternoon. It's my honor and privilege on behalf of the Alumni Board of Directors to offer inaugural ceremony remarks, and on behalf of the more than 250,000 alumni worldwide, congratulations and best wishes to you, President Allan Gilmour. You join only 10 other individuals, of whom two of whom are with us today, in having the responsibility of leading this great institution. Thank you for taking on the challenges of the presidency. When I came to Wayne State more than 25 years ago, I was looking for something special, and that's exactly what I found. The professors were outstanding, the students were equally vibrant and experienced, and I learned a tremendous amount. And I feel that my legal education here prepared me to work and compete and excel against some of the best lawyers in the country. I was seeking an education that would put me right in the heart of a big city, a vibrant city. And that's also exactly what I found. Today, students not only can experience all that I did and reach their dreams, but they can also come to a university that is very diverse, that is very caring, and has an important impact not only in the city, but in the state. To you, President Gilmour, we are entrusting their education and their fulfillment of their aspirations for them and also their families. We alumni are shareholders in this great educational enterprise. As shareholders, we know the value of our degrees rises with the reputation of the university. We know our investment is safely and securely in your hands. As you move forward with your ambitious agenda, we renew our commitment to helping secure the university's future. This is our pledge to you. We will give our resources to keep the doors open and accessible to students, just as others did for us. We will stand alongside with you in Lansing and in Washington, D.C. to ensure public support does not falter. And we will share our great pride in the university with our friends, colleagues, and neighbors to make Wayne State University the school of first choice. The Alumni Association is your partner in advancement you have embarked on. We wish you success and fulfillment in this journey. Congratulations again.
And now a reading by Michael Barnes, Assistant Professor of Theater.
Behind you. President Gilmour, Board of Governors, distinguished guests, faculty and students, life is full of surprises, interesting twists and turns, changes and opportunities. Sometimes we find ourselves in entirely novel places. Sometimes comfortable retirements become new careers, even careers as the boss. In recognition and celebration of these surprising twists, I have a reading from Mark Twain's book, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Camelot. Camelot, I said to myself. I don't seem to remember hearing of it before. Name of the asylum, likely. As we approached the town, signs of life began to appear. At last, the road gained a breezy height where a huge castle stood. There was an exchange of bugle blasts, and the great gates were flung open. The drawbridge was lowered, and we soon found ourselves in a great paved court with towers and turrets stretching up into the blue air on all four sides. And all about us, much greeting was going on, and ceremony, and a gay display of moving and intermingling colors, and an altogether pleasant stir and noise and confusion. The moment I got a chance, I slipped aside and privately and touched an ancient common-looking man on the shoulder and said in an insinuating and confidential way, "Friend, do me a kindness. Do you belong to the asylum, or are you just here on a visit or something like that?" "Marry, fair sir, me seemeth." "That will do. I reckon you are a patient." As he started away, he pointed and said, "Yonder was one who was idle enough for my purpose and was seeking me, no doubt." This was an airy, slim boy in shrimp-colored tights that made him look kind of like a forked carrot. By his look, he was good-natured. By his gait, he was satisfied by himself. He arrived, looked me over with a smiling curiosity, said he had come for me, and informed me that he was a page. "Go long, you ain't more than a paragraph." He began to talk and laugh as we walked along and made himself old friends with me at once, until at last he happened to mention that he was born in the beginning of 513. "Maybe I didn't hear you right. Say it again and say it slow. What year was it?" 513. Come, my boy, I am a stranger and friendless. Be honest with me. Are you in your right mind?" He said he was. "Are these people, these other people, in their right mind?" He said they were. "And this isn't an asylum?" He said it wasn't. "Well, then either I am a lunatic or something just as awful has happened. Now, tell me, honest and true, where am I?" "In King Arthur's court." I waited a minute to let that idea shudder its way home, and then said, "And according to your notions, what year is it now?" 528, 19th of June. Oh, I felt a mournful sinking at the heart and muttered, "I shall never see my friends again. Never, never again." I seemed to believe the boy. I didn't know why. About this time, a lackey came to say I was wanted. So the page led me in and took me off to one side and sat down by me. It was an immense place, and rather naked. Yes, and full of loud contrasts. It was very, very lofty. The floor was of big stone flags, battered by age and use, and needing repair. As to ornament, there wasn't any, strictly speaking. In the middle of this groined and vaulted public square was an oaken table called the Table Round. It was as large as a circus ring, and around it sat a great company of men dressed in various and splendid colors that it hurt one's eyes to look at them. They wore their plumed hats, except that whenever one addressed himself directly to the king, he lifted his hat a trifle just as he was beginning his remark. To be vested with enormous authority is a fine thing, but to have the onlooking world consent to it is finer. I was fast getting adjusted to my situation and circumstances. For a time, I used to wake up mornings and smile at my dream. But that sort of thing played itself out gradually, and at last I was fully able to realize that I was actually living in Arthur's court, not a lunatic asylum. After that, I was just as much home in that century as I could have been in any other. I wouldn't have traded it for the 20th. Look at all the opportunities here for a man of knowledge, brain, plucks, and enterprise to sail in and grow up with the country. Whereas, what would I amount to in the 20th century? I should be the foreman of a factory, that's about all. What a jump I had made. I was no shadow of a king. I was the substance. The king himself was the shadow. My power was colossal. I stood here at the very spring and source of the second greatest period of the world's history. I could have got a title easily enough, but I didn't ask for it, and I declined it when it was offered. I couldn't have enjoyed such a thing with my notions. I couldn't have felt satisfactorily fine and proud over any title, except one that should come from the nation itself. And in the course of years of honest and honorable endeavor, I did win it and wear it with a high and clean pride. This title fell from the lips of a blacksmith, was caught up as a happy thought and tossed from mouth to mouth with a laugh and affirmative vote. And in 10 days it had swept the kingdom and was as familiar as the king's name. I was never known by any other designation afterwards. This title, translated into modern speech, would be the boss. Elected by the nation. That suited me. President Gilmour, we welcome you, the new boss, to the court of Wayne State.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for Wayne State University to welcome a distinguished speaker who will deliver remarks on this occasion of the inauguration of our 11th president. President Gilmour, in recognition of the tradition of academic excellence at Wayne State University and the impact of our faculty upon our students and our community, sought out a speaker for today's program from within our own faculty. Arthur Marotti is Distinguished Professor of English Emeritus at Wayne State. After earning his PhD from the Johns Hopkins University, he was Assistant Professor at Washington University, St. Louis, prior to coming to Wayne State. His honors include one-year research fellowships from John Simons Guggenheim Memorial Foundation, the American Council of Learned Societies, and the National Endowment for the Humanities. At Wayne State, he was the recipient of the Charles Gershon Distinguished Faculty Fellowship, 3 Wayne State Board of Governors Faculty Recognition Awards, and the Wayne State University Distinguished Graduate Faculty Award in the Humanities and Social Sciences. Professor Marotti is a specialist in English, 16th and 17th century literature and culture, and has published 3 scholarly monographs, has edited or co-edited 7 collections of scholarly essays, and has written numerous book chapters and articles in his field. He serves on the editorial boards of 6 professional journals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Arthur Marotti.
I didn't know I'd have to follow Mark Twain. The answer to your question is 17 minutes, 18 and a half if you interrupt me with thunderous applause. President Gilmour, Presidents Reed and Noreen, members of the Board of Governors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. After 40 years of teaching at Wayne State and 10 months into my alleged retirement, I was surprised to be invited to make this keynote address. It's certainly a real honor for me to be part of the inauguration of President Allan Gilmour. We all know that being president of a university is a daunting, demanding, and especially in times of crisis, frightening task. There's a 1963 film comedy, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, in which almost every famous comedian of the time had a role,
and everyone seemed to be motoring around the countryside in a wild search for hidden cash. Larry Storch, who plays a frazzled state trooper, finally goes berserk in his job and ends up outside an airport gesturing at the planes overhead in a crazy attempt to direct air traffic. I hope President Gilmour doesn't reach that level of frustration. I know he brings more than just economic and organizational skills to his new job. A few weeks ago, he hosted a luncheon for the winner of the Academy of Scholars endowed Thomas Bonner Prize for a book exploring the relationship of the humanities to the sciences. I listened with admiration as President Gilmour spoke with the prize winner, the historian Kathy Geer of the University of California, San Diego, about her work, her field, and her university. He had carefully prepared himself for the occasion, and he put her very much at ease so that they could both have an intelligent and pleasurable conversation. In times of stress and challenge, we all need intelligent and pleasurable conversations. At this moment in the history of Wayne State University, it's important to ask two questions, even though the answers might point in somewhat different directions in terms of policy and planning. What should a university be, and what should Wayne State University be? In an ideal world, faculty, administrators, the Board of Governors, students, political leaders, and the general public would agree on the answers. In the real world, they probably won't. When classifying kinds of knowledge, the ancient Greeks used two alphabetic headings, theta and pi, the theoretical and the practical. We use the analogous distinction between basic and applied research. Theta without P broadens the mind and develops intellectual skills and versatility. But of course, society wants to see knowledge put to use and to see concrete benefits. P, or practical knowledge, by itself is intellectually limited, unimaginative, perhaps maladaptive. Plato conceived of wisdom as a union of the theoretical and the practical, as knowledge in action. This is visible not only in the experimental sciences, which hopefully create new disciplinary knowledge that might later lead to applications that improve our world, but also in what the French refer to as the human sciences, which help us understand and interpret our world, to solve problems and to make discoveries, as well as to communicate what we know to others. Often, the ultimate benefits of theoretical knowledge and basic research in any field may not at first be all that direct or apparent. We just need to be patient about getting the payoff. In the medieval university, before they took post-bachelor's training in law, theology, or medicine, the students studied the 7 liberal arts, the trivium, grammar, logic, and rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, astronomy, music, and geometry. We might identify the subject matter of these disciplines in turn as structured knowledge, rational thinking, the arts of expressive and persuasive knowledge, quantitative relations, scientific observation of the world, the study of aesthetic and natural harmony, and spatial and other forms of measurement. What we classify as the hard sciences were under the umbrella of natural philosophy. Later, the modern scientific revolution gave the experimental sciences more curricular space. Law and medicine were included as university subjects from the start, but fields such as engineering, business, nursing, and social work were added in the modern university. From the start, the heart of the university has been students and their teachers. Of course, both society and its institutions have become more complex over the last 800 years. But in the midst of all this institutional complexity, the modern university, like the medieval one, is a place for research and learning and teaching. Fundamentally, universities exist to preserve, advance, and communicate knowledge and to teach modes of inquiry and critical thinking in basic disciplines. They serve as cultural memory as well as cultural imagination. They have a responsibility to offer a liberal education, and the expression liberal education refers to what free human beings should have. Liberal education concentrates on the cultivation of both basic and sophisticated intellectual skills that ultimately allow individuals to develop talents, find imaginative solutions to problems, build institutions and social orders that serve the greater good. In his landmark book, The Idea of the University, Cardinal Newman stated that the aim of liberal education is, quote, to open the mind, to correct it, to refine it, to enable it to know, and to digest, master, rule, and use its knowledge, to give it power over its own faculties, application, flexibility, method, critical exactness, sagacity, and eloquent expression, unquote. Well-educated people, whatever their fields of specialization, have refined critical thinking skills. When citizens lack these, there's a risk that blanket mistrust and belief in conspiracy theories will rush in to fill the vacuum. We hear the evidence of this on talk radio. In his book, Unmaking the Public University, Christopher Newfield quotes from a United Nations report on the subject of human development, which defines it as, quote, about much more than the rise or fall of national incomes. It's about creating an environment in which people can develop their full potential and lead productive, creative lives in accord with their needs and interests. People are the real wealth of nations. Development is thus about expanding the choices people have to lead lives that they value. Fundamental to enlarging these choices is building human capabilities, the range of things that people can do or be in life, unquote. This is what a good university education should do. Universities, of course, may pass on to students particular professional or vocational skills and techniques, but they do not just train. For the jobs and the world for which focused training is designed constantly change, and it takes liberally educated people to adjust, adapt, and invent. One of the things that we've noticed in recent years is that the old straight-line model of career development coexists with, and to some extent is being eclipsed by, a more zigzag movement through the world of work, at least in the first 10 or so years in which many young people change jobs several times. To cope with this new world, people need to have a fund of knowledge, good analytic abilities, good communication skills, and intellectual versatility. Everyone's impressed by those who are a quick study, but one doesn't cultivate this ability through narrow training. The claim, or sometimes boast, that higher learning has an intrinsic inutility or uselessness is founded on a misperception of how minds work and how human beings grow. No knowledge about the world or ourselves is useless, even if its immediate relevance isn't apparent. If universities make a beeline to utility and application, they fail to educate in the best sense of the term. If, on the other hand, they completely ignore utility and application, they miss opportunities and risk alienating the society and governments that support them. There are enormous pressures to make all research application-focused and all education training. Granting agencies such as the National Institute of Health expect to see the immediate impact of the projects they fund. Political office holders demand immediate economic benefits to flow from research conducted in the universities they may only half-heartedly support. Parents and students alike expect to see a clear and direct connection between undergraduate education and particular careers and jobs. These pressures, however, can threaten the basic research and educational activities universities should maintain, and in fact can result in reducing options and opportunities for the students they teach. In times of financial crisis, the temptation in allocating scarce resources is to make a distinction between the essential and the inessential. This is understandable, but it entails a hidden danger. It might be wise to cut back or eliminate some unhealthy programs and to enhance others that are especially successful. But if, as Cardinal Newman wrote, quote, all knowledge is a whole, and the separate sciences parts of one, unquote, and the sciences for him included all areas of knowledge, then it is deeply damaging to the university as an institution to seriously weaken or eliminate disciplines that are part of what makes a university a university. For example, it was destructively short-sighted on the part of the State University of New York at Albany to abolish the departments of French, Italian, Russian, and classics, an astounding move in an era of globalization. The relevance to a liberal education and to preparation for an international world of work of the 3 live European languages is obvious. But we all know that classics covers over a millennium of Western history, politics, art, philosophy, and literature. 1,000 years of human experience and cultural production we should not ignore or forget. Classics majors, by the way, regularly get some of the highest scores on the law school aptitude test. Wayne State is a research university that usually and unfortunately gets more respect nationally and internationally than it does locally in the state of Michigan. Many of its faculty are leaders in their fields, attracting students from around the country and around the world. Locally, this university offers opportunities for high-quality undergraduate education and world-class graduate and professional training in the range of disciplines that any responsible university should include. The breadth of its programs is an inevitable and essential feature. This is especially important because for so many of Wayne's students, who for family, work, or other reasons are limited geographically to southeastern Michigan, this is the only accessible institution that provides such varied options. Take some of these options away, and you narrow the intellectual horizons and career opportunities available to our students. Eliminating a car line, as Chrysler did many years ago when it dropped the less popular DeSoto from its product offerings, doesn't destroy the integrity of an automobile manufacturer. Dropping, say, a philosophy department from a university weakens the whole academic enterprise and calls into question whether the institution can still be called a university. On their part, faculty, departments, and colleges, of course, need to be creative in not only advancing the state of knowledge in particular fields of specialization, but also in forging productive intramural and extramural relationships to take advantage of opportunities to use their disciplinary expertise in new ways, as well as to help address real-world needs. One of the things that can happen in academia is the unforeseen, unplanned, but productive conjunction of areas of knowledge and of methodologies. This operates on the highest levels of disciplinary and interdisciplinary research, as well as on the more humble level of undergraduate educational development. For example, there's a biologist at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, connected to that university's Center for Critical Inquiry in the Liberal Arts, who has collaborated with an academic at Oxford University working in the Office for Humanities Computing on the Canterbury Tales project, which is re-examining all the surviving early texts of Geoffrey Chaucer's masterpiece. Functioning within the framework of similar work being done in the past 2 decades, they have co-written articles dealing with the application to the study of textual variations in multiple manuscripts, of techniques of cladistic analysis utilized in biology to reconstruct relationships of ancestry, descent, and variation on the evolutionary tree of life. Using cladistic analysis to deal with a computerized database of thousands of variants scholars found in the Canterbury Tales texts, they argue that their methodology, with its cybernetic implementation, can arrange the manuscript relations and the lines of descent from original texts with the speed and effectiveness the old-fashioned manual tracing of variants could never achieve. Biology, computer science, and literary study are not, at first glance, sister disciplines. In a research university where faculty are helping to move their fields forward and are being innovative, students often put together useful intellectual skill sets from components in various disciplines. Many of the smartest students don't have intellectual tunnel vision, but rather challenge themselves by taking courses in different, often not obviously related fields, and acquiring a versatility more narrowly focused students do not develop. Many have double majors, sometimes in widely divergent fields such as mathematics and English. One of the best students I taught at this university, a Polish immigrant, pulled off this trick. Creative and innovative people have lots of interests and interesting ways of putting their knowledge to use. It's our job to open up to them fields of knowledge that stretch their mental abilities. If things go well, they will imagine the connections and possibilities we can't. There was a time in American history when college and university education was largely the province of an economic and social elite. Public universities dramatically expanded the number of citizens with higher education, and the country benefited in so many ways from this democratization. most dramatically through the GI Bill and in the post-Sputnik era, through strong public funding. As we all know, governmental support for public universities has been steadily eroding in the last 4 decades. So now, most states only contribute from 1/10 to about 1/3 of the general fund expenses. The very states that are in desperate need of the educated citizens their public institutions help produce are on an economically and socially self-destructive course. My wife and I filled out our 2010 state tax return, and we were shocked at the refund we got. At the risk of annoying those campaigning against the governor's plan to tax pensions, I say, tax my retirement income. I don't want my relative prosperity to come at the expense of the young, who deserve the kind of educational support I had in my youth. American primary and secondary schools should be the best in the world. They aren't now. American universities should not just continue to attract students from around the globe, but they should also be the kinds of democratic, welcoming institutions that offer access to the intellectual and professional possibilities to which American citizens are entitled. The ground may be shaking beneath our feet, but we need to be both prudent, imaginative, and optimistic. We can offer high-quality education for our graduate and undergraduate students, as well as maintain the university's international reputation for research in many fields. We have to be faithful to the university's central mission of teaching and research as we make the adjustments necessary to strengthen the university for the long run and enhance its value, especially for the state of Michigan. I know President Gilmour wants Wayne State University to be a great university and to continue to improve despite the immediate and long-term financial challenges it faces. He needs our insights, our best ideas, our support, but also our criticisms. I know I speak for everyone here today when I wish him well in his efforts and congratulate him on his appointment.
Thank you, Professor Marotti. That was inspiring talk. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Tina Abbott will preside at the investiture of the President.
Thank you. Would Governor Debbie Dingell, Vice Chair of the Board, assist me in presenting the chain of office of Wayne State University to our 11th President, Allan Gilmour. On January 18, 2011, the Board of Governors of Wayne State University unanimously elected Allan Gilmour as the 11th President of Wayne State University. Today, in recognition of long-standing academic tradition, we are gathered for a presidential inauguration. Would President Irvin D. Reed and Jay Noreen please escort President Gilmour forward? Finally, will my remaining colleagues on the Board of Governors please join us for the installation? At the direction of the Wayne State University Board of Governors and under the authority vested in that body by the Constitution and laws of the state of Michigan, we hereby install you, Allan Gilmour, as the 11th President of Wayne State University. Election to this office is a mark of esteem and confidence. But with this honor goes the deep responsibility which authority implies. In token of this authority vested in you, the chain of office is a tangible reminder to you and to all of the powers and responsibility of the office which you have assumed. It is to be worn by you on appropriate occasions of academic dignity and ceremony, and will be transmitted to your successor and to their perpetuity. Ladies and gentlemen, the 11th president of Wayne State University, Allan Gilmour.
We've made it. We've made it. Thank you, Governor Abbott. Thank you for that ovation. I'm reminded of the old story, a standing ovation is a chance to do two things. Number one, stretch, and number two, adjust your underwear. Members of the board, emeritus members, distinguished guests, thank you for your comments. Professor Marotti, thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Provost Brown, thank you for running this thing today. Students and faculty and staff and alumni and distinguished guests and friends of Wayne State, again, thank you for being here today. I'm honored by your presence and by the trust you have placed in me. It is good that so many of us are here together, because this day is not about just one person. It's about many people. People who teach, people who learn, who discover, members of our alumni who occupy every walk of life and every corner of the world, leaders of our country and city and state, people in this room, and others not here, but connected to this great enterprise. Today we celebrate the inauguration of a president, but this day is much more. In many ways, it is the celebration of a university. Inaugurations are full of tradition and ritual. A cynic might think that all this is unnecessary. But tradition and ritual are important. They bring us together. They bind us with our history, and they give us something precious in our busy lives. A brief moment to pause and think about who we are and why we're here, where we've come from, and where we're heading. Wayne State University in some form has been here for nearly 150 years. The world of 1868, the year of our founding, is a world beyond living memory. We would not recognize it. We know from history what that world was like, and we know all the change that has taken place since. And through all of that change, technological and political, social and demographic and economic, Wayne State has been here, growing, changing, fulfilling its mission to discover knowledge and pass that knowledge on. Today's ritual reminds us of our history and our duty to safeguard this mission for those with us now and those who will follow us. Today, it is our turn. We should never underestimate the importance of this duty. What we do here changes lives and changes the world, and this isn't a cliche, and never let it become one. Not in our conversations, not in our society, and most importantly, not in our hearts. All honest work has within it nobility, but what we do here is different. It is a higher calling. This is why we do what we do. In my career, I've always found it helpful to understand numbers. I call myself a recovering financial officer. Numbers are objective. Numbers can measure inputs and outputs, tell us if we're on track, or warn us of problems. But I've also learned that some of the most important things can't be measured. Ideas, inspiration, wonder, discovery. They defy measurement, but they're at the heart of what we do here. Higher education is often called complex, with its technology and research, its buildings and organization, its faculty and staff and students, but the essence is simple. It starts with one of the most basic human needs, the need to know, the desire to understand something just because we're curious, the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake. This simple impulse is the root of all human progress and the driving force of this university. This is why we do what we do. We should keep this in mind when people describe a university education as training, or suggest that we focus only on subjects that will pay off in the job market. This sort of thinking will produce some well-trained specialists, but at what cost? Universities don't exist just to prepare people for the world of work. They exist to prepare people for the world, with the ability to think beyond the confines of a narrow field of study, with the ability to see connections and correlations and patterns across many subjects, with the guts to ask questions, the tenacity to find answers, the wisdom to make decisions, and maybe, just when we need it, the genius to see things as they can be rather than as they are. We live in a world that seems more and more to glamorize ignorance, that encourages idle consumption rather than active curiosity, where pop culture sneers at intellectual elitism, or the pursuit of knowledge, as a waste of a good time. In such a world, our job is to nurture intellectual restlessness, to stand against this tide of pseudo-cultural nonsense. This is worth getting up in the morning for, and this is why we do what we do. And how do we do this? With balance. It's not all books and facts and numbers, and it's not all pondering and daydreaming. It's both. Inspiration is hard to plan and harder to teach. So we start with what is known, the foundation, the facts, the numbers. This is a lot of work, but there's no way around it, because without this preparation, there's less chance for inspiration. Louis Pasteur said, "Chance favors the prepared mind." This prepared mind is the fertile ground for imagination and new ideas. It needs some cultivating, some poking and prodding, and it needs the luxury of time to think and search and dream. These activities are often seen as wasteful. Universities don't teach courses in dreaming, but great teachers understand its value. I'm sure they prefer it not to happen in their classrooms. But they do know that when this inspiration takes place, when eureka happens. Albert Einstein seemed to know it when he said, "I have no talents, I'm only passionately curious." In some ways, higher education and this sort of thinking is being challenged right now. Economic pressures are driving the need for more efficiency and for measurable results. I've heard these words before. If they drive accountability and sensible stewardship, they can be helpful. If they drive short-term thinking or the latest quick fix fad, they can be dangerous. Our job is to stay focused on who we are and what we need to do. Ultimately, we are accountable for the pursuit of knowledge and the education of our students. We must keep our eyes squarely on those responsibilities, even as we work to meet today's challenges. And remember, Wayne State has faced many tests in the past 143 years, some of them bigger than today's. We have done better than survive, we have thrived. Sometimes it's easy to see our faults, but we should take stock of our assets. When I arrived here last summer, I did what any business person would do. I analyzed the numbers, I asked a lot of questions, I read a lot of reports, I dug in to try to get a real sense of the place, while I was still able to bring an outsider's perspective. It was easy to tally up the issues facing us. We're a big place with a lot going on, and there are always places to improve. but I found far more than problems. I found a vibrant university full of the intellectual restlessness and curiosity that is the heart of any great institution, with activities that stretch from the labs to the athletic fields, from the stage to the studios, from Detroit to the world. I found a relentless pursuit of knowledge. We call ourselves a research university, but that term feels generic in relation to the enthusiasm I have felt from faculty and students all across this campus to know. It was Bernard Baruch, a businessman and financier from the last century, who said, and I quote, "Minions saw the apple fall, but Newton asked why." We ask why. We don't just teach from the books, we write the books. I found a university that steadfastly maintains high academic standards, despite the pressure of outside influence. I found a university that graduates thousands of students each year, most of whom lead successful lives right here in Michigan. I found a university that is a crossroads of people and cultures, a microcosm of the real world. Diversity isn't a slogan here, it's reality. I found a university that is not afraid of a challenge and will face it with the toughness and grit and pride that are hallmarks of its hometown. I found a university that is deeply connected with its community, the people, the businesses, the culture, the economic development. I found a university with the problems of any big organization, but with the will to pursue excellence. These are the ingredients of greatness, and the combination of all of these makes us unique. We're not like other universities. We should celebrate this uniqueness and let it take us as far as we can go. And so I ask you, how far do you want to go? To answer that question, we need to remember our roots, and we need to envision our future. We know the facts, so let's dream a bit. What is Wayne State University at its best? Wayne State University always has been and will remain a place of intellectual pursuit. We ask questions, we discover knowledge, we pass it on. We do these things well, and we must keep doing them well if we're to be accountable to our students and ourselves. We don't just teach, and we don't just do research, we do both, and the combination makes us better. Wayne State University is in Detroit, and we're here to stay. Our extension centers and our online programs extend the boundaries of our campus, but we are part of this city, and this city is part of us. This fact alone makes us unique, and it provides students with a unique education. And for those who insist on predicting Detroit's demise, I invite them to visit Midtown and Wayne State's campus. There is a spirit in Detroit and at Wayne State that gives our students an edge. We're not surrounded by rolling hills. We're surrounded by cultural institutions and businesses and hospitals and people and neighborhoods. Our campus is diverse. It's called Detroit. Our classrooms extend beyond our buildings and labs to the real world around us. Our research has practical applications in healthcare and businesses. Our educational programs spill out into the community. When students leave here, they have academic credentials, but they have real-world credentials too. They can apply book smarts and street smarts. Employers tell us our alumni are ready to hit the ground working. They show initiative. They think for themselves. They solve problems. They can spot an open parking spot 500 yards away. They don't need a long orientation program. They just need an opportunity. Wayne State is often called a university of opportunity. But let's define this term. For much of our history, we have been a stepping stone for people with the talent and will to succeed, but perhaps not the background required by other universities. One of the pleasures of this job is speaking with alumni, and I never hear of stories that begin with, "If not for Wayne State, I could never have," and finish with a personal story of hard work and eventual success. Thousands of our alumni were the first in their families to attend college. Thousands of our alumni didn't meet the requirements of more exclusive schools. They came to Wayne State. They persevered and they succeeded. This is opportunity. Now, not all high school students are ready for college. Some of them never will be. We do them no favors if we admit them and then see them fail. Opportunity cannot mean an open door for everyone, but we must leave the door wide open for those who can succeed and support them in their efforts. If we don't, who will? This is opportunity. Opportunity doesn't mean lower academic standards or lowered expectations. That would simply diminish the value of a Wayne State degree. Opportunity does mean the chance for a wide range of students to get an excellent education at a first-rate research university. It means that our students from our neighborhood study with students from all over the world. It means the chance for students to experience the world before they're thrown into it. That's what we mean by opportunity. And yes, Wayne State is and will continue to be a university of opportunity. We really know what we are, don't we? We're an academic institution dedicated to teaching and research. We are a diverse community of faculty, staff, and students from down the street and across the globe. We share the spunk and spirit of Detroit and refuse to be cowed by the naysayers. We give our students an experience that blends the academic rigor of a research university with the readiness that comes from living in the real world. We should stand up and be proud of all these things. This is Wayne State University. But is that enough? Are we satisfied? Are we still hungry? Have we reached our potential? Or have we just reached a plateau? We're a great institution, but with any great endeavor, there is always more we want to do. It's tempting to paint a grand new vision for the next century, but we must be true to who we are, be great at what we are. And before we look too far down the road, there are things we need to do in the near future. First, we will get through this financial problem coming from reduced state appropriation. It won't be easy. We've been working hard on this, and now we're about to start the really hard work of deciding how to allocate fewer resources. Next, we have some things that we need to fix in our own house, fewer resources or not. Graduation and retention rates, student service, eradication once and for all of the Wayne way. We're hard at work in all of these as well, and we all play an important role in that work. We must continue our focus on our core missions, teaching and research. We must be great at this or nothing else matters. We must look in the mirror and assess ourselves relentlessly. Our goal is to be first-rate at everything and great at some things. This too is difficult. It requires hard choices. But resources, time, money, people, these resources spent supporting activities where we're average or less than average are resources that could be spent elsewhere, becoming the best. And finally, let's be proud of who we are and what we do. I said earlier that ours is a higher calling. Sometimes that's easy to forget in our daily work. It can start to feel like business as usual, but what we do is not business as usual. It certainly isn't to our students, who count on our best, and therefore it can't be for us. It'd probably do us good from time to time to see the world through the eyes of our students, to remember what it was like to have that first taste of freedom, or to walk on a college campus for the first time, to remember what it was like the first time you mastered a difficult concept or connected with a professor, to remember a world of opportunities in front of you, and the optimism to think that anything is possible. We need to keep that optimism alive in us, that drive. That's where our students are, and that's where we must be. I've remarked on a number of occasions how impressed I am with the people of Wayne State, the intelligence, the talent, the enthusiasm. Such people could be successful in many endeavors. They could make more money, achieve more fame, but they decided on a career in higher education, to devote themselves to something bigger than themselves. Ours is a higher calling. Remember that every day. It's in our nature to aim higher, But we don't need to reinvent Wayne State University. We need to be great at those things that make us unique. We need to understand what we have, appreciate what we have, and build on it. I'm fond of a quote from George Bernard Shaw that says, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. Others dream things that never were and ask why not." We deserve to be proud of what we are, but we must imagine how great we can be and ask why not. In a few weeks, this campus will be in bloom. Another group of students will receive their diplomas, walk across the stage, shake my hand, and begin a new chapter in their lives. They carry with them all that they experienced here, the preparation, the relationships, the memories, and all the dreams and possibilities that come when great milestones like graduation are reached. We all contribute in some way to that experience. It is a solemn responsibility, one we must remind ourselves of often. When I shake the hands of our new graduates next month and look into their eyes, I'll remember why I'm here and why we do what we do. Thank you.
Our sincere thanks to the faculty, staff, and students and alumni who have made this celebration possible. And special thanks to Wayne State Big Band under the direction of Chris Collins. Now we will have the hymn to Wayne. Please rise.
To thee, our alma mater, homage we bring. Brave hearts raise grateful voices, thy praise to sing. Young art thou, young and strong, renowned shalt thou live and long. Honors to thee will throng, and fame to thee cling.
As we conclude this celebration, we invite you to join us for a reception in the McGregor Memorial Conference Center. You are also invited to return to this auditorium tonight at 7 p.m. for a special inaugural celebration of music, dance, and film presented by students of the College of Fine, Performing, and Communication Arts. Please remain seated for the academic recessional, which brings to a close this inauguration ceremony.